So I'm not super happy about this in particular. I liked this a lot more. That was a lot easier, but I'm a big fan of this. So what if I told you that there was a way to have our cake and eat it too? So that's what we're going to do here, where we're going to actually make it so that React's default behavior for props, where it just does a shallow comparison of each individual prop just to determine whether these two things are the same, we're going to leverage that by only passing primitive values, and only the primitive values that will actually trigger a DOM update. So if we come up here, we'll notice that we're taking this selected item object and this highlighted index and creating Boolean values out of those. And if those values change, then we are going to have a DOM update. So what if we just move this calculation a little higher in the tree and then pass those values as props? So instead of selected item, we have is selected, and instead of highlighted index, we have is highlighted. And so then I can come up here, and instead of selected item, we'll have is selected, and we'll take the same calculation that we had before and pass it up here. And then for our is highlighted prop, we're going to grab that same calculation that we had before up here, and then we can get rid of that. And goodness, we can get rid of all this nonsense. Switch it for a regular React.memo. And now let's do a profile. We'll hover over one, let it go. And oh my goodness, do you see that? Look at that. That's fantastic. We didn't get any re-renderings of the list items that we don't care about, but we are getting a re-render of the one that we do. And we don't have to do all this complex stuff. So the takeaway here is if you have a particular component and you're rendering a ton of instances of those, try to do calculations a little higher in the tree so you're only passing primitive values that, when changed, will trigger a DOM update. And that way you don't worry about breaking memoization or having to create a custom comparator. So all we did here was we took some calculations that we were performing inside the list item that resulted in DOM updates, and we moved them up a little higher in the tree so we could perform those calculations and then just pass the values that are primitive values that will trigger real DOM updates when they're changed, and then accepted those as props and used those instead of what we had before. And that made it so that the default behavior for React.memo is also going to give us a really awesome behavior for the re-rendering of these list items.